Hello, and thanks for tuning in to our Wheel and Anchor webinar featuring our upcoming sojourn to Tuscany and San Marino. This is a trip that takes us through the beautiful rolling hills, the hilltop towns, the Renaissance masterpieces, and the timeless rhythms of Italian life. Over the next 30 minutes or so, I'll guide you through the full itinerary, day by day, highlighting the cultural encounters, the scenic landscapes, and the unique touches that make this trip such a rich and memorable experience. We'll begin in Florence, the cradle of Italian Renaissance, where the legacy of artists like Michelangelo and Botticelli is felt around every corner. From there, we explore hilltop towns and smaller cities of Tuscany. From our base in Cortona, we'll head off to Siena, Montepulciano, Arezzo, and many more. Each has its own story, cuisine, and stunning views. Partway through the trip, we'll enjoy wine and cheese at a local estate and take in a pasta making class near the Adriatic Sea. And we'll spend time at the end in the Mountaintop Republic, one of the smallest in the world, in San Marino. This program was created to offer a slower and more personal approach to Italy, one where you have time and space to truly experience each place, enjoy meaningful conversations, and take in the view with a glass of local wine in hand. Now, if you've enjoyed our webinars before, you're welcome to skip ahead to the itinerary and map using the markers below. If you're new to Wheel and Anchor, though, I encourage you to stay with us for the next few slides where I'll introduce our travel philosophy and share what makes our trips and our community so unique. Before I dive into the details of this journey through Tuscany and San Marino, I'd like to take a moment to tell you a little bit about who we are, because Wheel and Anchor isn't just another tour company. In fact, we're a community of Canadian travelers who share a common outlook on what it means to explore the world meaningfully. My team and I don't just organize trips, we help bring that shared travel philosophy to life. And what connects us is a deep curiosity and a desire for experiences that go beyond the surface. Everybody has a bucket list in some way, shape, or form. Chances are, if you're watching this, you've got one tucked away somewhere, either scribbled in a notebook or stored in that part of your brain that lights up when somebody mentions Tuscany or Florence. But the real joy of travel, the kind that we aim to create, often lies beyond those must-see places. It's in stumbling across a tiny wine bar tucked into a side street in Arezzo, or chatting with a cheesemaker in Pienza, whose family has been doing this for generations. That's why we intentionally design our itineraries with a generous amount of free time, because we know that some of the most rewarding moments happen when you're not on a schedule. And perhaps the most powerful part of our trips is who you're sharing them with. And after over 3 decades of creating travel experiences, I can tell you what turns a great trip into something truly unforgettable is the company. There's something uniquely comforting about exploring the world with fellow Canadians, people who just get you, who speak your language literally and figuratively, and who often end up becoming more than just fellow travelers. So if that sounds like your style, if you value good conversation over a glass of wine, shared laughs in surprising places, and the freedom to connect or explore independently, you may just have found your travel home here with us at Wheel and Anchor. As I've touched on already, our approach to travel goes far beyond simply ticking off landmarks or snapping photos at famous sites. At Wheel and Anchor, we believe that to truly experience a place, you have to engage with it on a deeper level. That's where our philosophy of being well traveled and well connected comes in. It's the combination of the two that makes a journey truly meaningful. For us, being well traveled means what I like to call the curious wanderer's mindset. It's that ability to notice the small, beautiful details, whether you're watching the morning light fall on the Duomo in Florence, or wandering the stone alleys of Montepulciano, or simply lingering in a quiet piazza with a coffee and simply no agenda. It's all about embracing the unfamiliar and allowing it to shift your perspective. Our journey through Tuscany and San Marino isn't just about admiring the frescoes in a cathedral or touring world-famous galleries, though those moments are certainly memorable. It's also about sitting down to a meal made with care and tradition, learning the rhythm of a slower lifestyle, or standing atop a medieval tower and feeling the wind sweep in from the Adriatic. It's these moments, unplanned, unscripted, and unhurried, that often become the most memorable. This is our definition of being well-traveled, which of course naturally flows into the idea of being well-connected. And this is a big thing that separates Wheel and Anchor from conventional tour operators, because convention isn't merely about who travels alongside you, it's about how travel reshapes your connections to everything. We strive to create opportunities for you to learn traditional cooking methods from local families, or to engage with artisans preserving generations old techniques, or to share stories with locals who are just as curious about Canada as you are about their homeland. Together, these elements create what we like to think of as the wheel and anchor transformation, returning home carrying not just mementos, but newfound perspectives that enrich your daily life and lasting friendships that continue to inspire long after your luggage is unpacked. I just want to share with you a couple more things before we delve into the details. And I want to tell you a little bit about who we are. Who are the people behind Wheel and Anchor? Beyond, of course, our members, of course. And first of all, my name is Gordon Dreger. I'm the founder of Wheel and Anchor. And as I mentioned before, I've been working in and around the travel industry for the better part of 35 years. I've organized trips for Canadians to just about all parts of the globe. But I couldn't pull off all the promises that I've just talked about without an incredible team of people, all of whom are as dedicated to ensuring that we deliver some of the best possible experiences for our members as I am. But the person who's most important for you, though, is our lead trip specialist, Paula Zarnik. Your picture is just to the right of me here. And she is the person who, when you drop us a note or give us a call, will most likely be frontline to make sure that your questions get answered and to assist you in joining us if you decide to join us on this trip or any of our trips for that matter. So now let's dive into what makes our trip to Tuscany and San Marino so special. The agenda for this webinar is pretty straightforward. I'm going to be your virtual guide as I take you on a little journey around Tuscany and San Marino and share what you can expect from this incredible sojourn style trip. We'll start with a geographical overview of the map, and then I'll walk you through the highlights of each day of this adventure. Now, in case you're not aware, let me share with you what defines our sojourn trips, because these journeys are designed for travelers who value immersion but prefer a more balanced pace. Contrast this with our live away trips, which involve 2 to 4 week long stays, more or less in one place, or our experiential trips, which prioritize rapid activity focused itineraries. Sojourns focus on 4 or 5 nights at each stop, generally speaking, which allows for more meaningful engagement without the logistical intensity of longer stays. A sojourn combines curated group activities like guided historical walks, cooking classes, with lots of unstructured time so you can explore independently. Imagine mornings visiting a local artisan workshop, followed by afternoons and evenings free to wander the cobblestone streets, visiting or just relaxing at a cafe or catching a local show. As with all our trips, we handle all the key logistics: accommodation, selected dining experiences, and expert led excursions, while leaving plenty of room for personal discovery. These trips suit those who want to avoid constant packing and unpacking or rushed sightseeing. The slower rhythm fosters connections with locals and landscapes and offers a middle ground between brief tours and extended stays. Ultimately, sojourns are about savoring a destination's essence, not just checking landmarks off a list. So let me give you a bit of a lay of the land before we dive in. This is obviously particularly interesting if you're a map person like I am. This journey takes us through the heart of central Italy, beginning in the region of Tuscany, which is, of course, one of the most celebrated landscapes in Europe. It's known for its rolling hills, medieval hill towns, Renaissance cities, and, of course, world class food and wine. From there, we make our way east to the tiny mountaintop Republic of San Marino, perched above the Adriatic Sea. Our program will begin in Florence, which is, of course, the capital of Tuscany and birthplace of the Renaissance. From here, we venture out to nearby towns like San Gimignano or Pisa, each with its own layers of history, unique character, and iconic architecture. We then shift to the hilltop town of Cortona, which overlooks the Val di Chiana. From this tranquil base, we explore Montepulciano, Pienza, and the surrounding countryside, including a stop at a Tuscan winery for a relaxed afternoon of wine tasting and local flavors. And the final leg of our journey takes us east, as I said before, across the Apennine Mountains into San Marino, one of the world's oldest and smallest republics. We'll walk its cobbled lanes and visit its iconic towers before finishing in the town of Sant'Arcangelo, where we'll enjoy a pasta making class and a farewell lunch in true Italian style. This route gives us a chance to experience both the artistic richness of Tuscany and the slower rhythms of Romagna, connecting culture, cuisine, and countryside in a journey that's as rewarding as it is relaxed. So let's now dive into the day by day details of this Tuscany and San Marino program. On the first day, we welcome you to Italy. Unless, of course, you've been participating in a trip with us to Italy somewhere else before this trip, You might be arriving by air at Florence Airport, which you can access via various hubs in Europe from Canada, or you might be flying, for example, to Rome and taking the train up. In which case, you'll arrive at Santa Maria Novella train station, where you'll be met by our team and transferred directly to your hotel in the city center. Now, here's a little fun fact. The airport is actually named after the man who gave the Americas their name, Amerigo Vespucci. This is one of the many little aspects of Florence and Tuscany that ties this part of Europe, the old world, to the new world. Now, once you're settled in, the rest of the day is yours, and we are right in the middle of town. So take some time to unpack, refresh, and perhaps enjoy your first walk through the historic streets of Florence. Dinner will be at your leisure tonight, and I'd recommend wandering around towards the Arno River and finding a little trattoria that just calls your name. Well, this is Florence, Italy, and I know many of our members have been here at some point in the past, and so you'll recognize Ponte Vecchio behind me. That's the old bridge that spans two sides of the Arno River and connects this absolutely magnificent city. I've been here a number of times before, and I tell you, every single time I'm just taken away by how beautiful it is, the architecture, all the cafes and restaurants, and needless to say, the museums and galleries. Part of Florence's appeal isn't just the beautiful historical center, but of course the rolling Tuscan hills surrounding the city. And from here, you get spectacular views overlooking the city, the River Arno. You see, of course, the Duomo, the big cathedral sticking out as the main landmark of the city, the Santa Croce Church, and the many, many other buildings that make this such a gem of a city amongst the hills of Tuscany. After breakfast on our first full day of the trip, we'll gather together in the lobby. We'll have a little orientation with your host. We'll talk about how the trip will unfold and set the tone for the experience that we'll share together as a travel community. From there, we'll head out on foot to explore this magnificent city on a half-day walking tour, which will be led by our local guide, Angela. She's an amazing guide, has been with us for all of our trips, and she'll give us a terrific introduction to Florence. We'll start off near the hotel at the Duomo complex with its stunning cathedral, dome, and the golden doors of the baptistry. From there, we'll make our way through Florence's historic center, stopping at Piazza della Signoria, the political heart of the city, and, of course, Piazza della Repubblica, once the site of the Roman Forum. But of course, no visit to Florence would be complete without walking across the Ponte Vecchio, that famous medieval bridge lined with goldsmith shops that seems plucked right out of a painting. After the tour, you'll have the whole afternoon and lunch at your leisure, and we'll get together this evening for a welcome dinner at a local restaurant, one of my favorites, in fact, and it'll be our first chance to raise a glass together and toast to the journey ahead. So I'm here on Piazza Repubblica in the center of Florence. This is Angela. She's going to be our local guide for our Tuscany live-away next year.
Hi everybody, I'm Angela and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Florence next year.
We're excited to have all of our Wheel and Anchor members explore this amazing city. So both Angela and I welcome you next year to Tuscany.
Bye, see you soon.
Our excursion today will be all about immersing ourselves in the artistic heart of Florence with a visit to the legendary Uffizi Gallery, one of the most revered art museums in the world, an essential stop for anyone curious about the roots of the Renaissance. We'll set off early to make the most of our timed entry tickets and avoid the peak crowds, although the Uffizi is always busy. Once inside, Angela will lead us around through rooms filled with works that shaped every course of Western art. Paintings by Botticelli, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Caravaggio, to name just a few. You'll stand in front of the birth of Venus and feel that raw intensity of a Caravaggio, and you'll trace the evolution of perspective and light as it unfolded across the centuries. More than just a museum, the Uffizi is a portal into Florence's golden age, a place where the ideals of beauty, balance, and human expression still speak across time. After our visit, we'll sit down together for lunch at a lovely nearby restaurant, perhaps with a glass of Chianti Classico, the signature wine of the region, to toast our morning's inspiration. But the rest of the afternoon and again evening will be yours. You might revisit a favorite piazza, seek out an artisan's workshop, or simply find a sunny bench and let Florence reveal itself at its own gentle pace. There's really no wrong way to spend time in a city like this. Today, we leave Florence behind for a day trip into the Tuscan countryside and one of the most iconic hill towns of the region, San Gimignano. We'll head off in the morning by coach, and our guide will provide insights all along the way through the picturesque drive in the hills. Once we arrived in San Gimignano, which is sort of locally affectionately referred to as San Jimmy, you'll see why it's often called the medieval Manhattan. Its skyline is crowned by ancient stone towers. 14 of them are still standing, and they were built by rival noble families as symbols of wealth and power. These towers give the town a wonderfully distinctive silhouette that you'll spot from far away. We'll have a guided tour to get oriented, exploring the cobbled streets, the central piazza, and the town's remarkable history. And we'll have a delicious lunch at a local restaurant featuring some regional specialties. Think about handmade pasta, local olive oil, and maybe even a glass of vernaccia, the town's celebrated white wine. There'll be lots of time to explore in the afternoon. You might want to visit one of the towers to get some panoramic views of the town and the surrounding countryside, or stroll through the artisan shops, or maybe just enjoy a gelato in the piazza. This morning, we'll turn our attention to one of Florence's most iconic artistic landmarks, the Galleria dell'Accademia. While it houses several remarkable works, the unquestionable star of the show is David, Michelangelo's 17-foot marble masterpiece that has come to symbolize not only Renaissance genius, but the spirit of Florence itself. It was created between 1501 and 1504 from a single block of Carrara marble. David was originally intended for the roofline of the Duomo, but once completed, it was considered far too magnificent to be placed so far out of sight. Standing before it in person, seeing the delicate veins in the hands, the intensity of the gaze, is an experience that no photograph can come close to replicating. Beyond David, the Accademia also offers something uniquely revealing: Michelangelo's unfinished sculptures, often referred to as the prisoners or the slaves. These figures appear to be struggling to emerge from marble itself, offering a haunting and intimate glimpse into the artist's process, what he once described as freeing the figure from the stone. After our time at the museum, the rest of the day will be ours to enjoy. It'll be our last afternoon in Florence. Maybe we'll head back to a favorite cafe, or browse the vibrant stalls of the Mercato Centrale, or take one last walk along the Arno as you soak up the beauty of this extraordinary city. Florence always leaves a mark, and this final day will capture it as its most profound. Today we'll say arrivederci to Florence, and we'll make our way southeast towards Cortona, and we'll have a lovely little stop along the way. After breakfast, we'll check out and make our way southeast to Arezzo, one of the lesser-known towns of Tuscany. It used to be a powerful Etruscan city and later turned into a center of goldsmithing. Arezzo is home to some beautiful frescoes and a charming historic center. We'll have a little walking tour around the downtown with a local guide, and we'll sit down to lunch at one of our favorite local restaurants. After lunch, we'll continue our journey to Cortona itself. This is another hilltop town with layers of Etruscan, Roman, and medieval history. Once we're checked in, we'll have a little orientation walk through the neighborhood with our local guide. This will be a simple introduction to the layout, pointing out some hidden corners and favorite local spots. Dinner tonight is at your leisure. We definitely have some tips for you. Cortona is a delight to explore in the evening, with its quiet stone lanes, candlelit wine bars, and a soft glow of lanterns. So this is one of the main squares of Cortona. Behind me is Via Nazionale, which is the main street. It's lined with cafes and boutiques and lots of great restaurants. It's not very long. It's only a couple of 100 yards long, and it's about the only flat part of town. So this is the other main square of Cortona, Piazza Garibaldi, and from here you have a magnificent view over the surrounding Val di Chiana with the lake in the background. Today we'll head out back to the west, to the city of Siena, a place that rivals Florence in beauty, but with a totally different feel. Once again, we'll head off through the Tuscan countryside, and in less than an hour, we'll find ourselves at the gates of Siena, a city that seems to be frozen in time. With its winding alleyways and medieval character, as well as its terracotta rooftops, Siena's historic center is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and our visit will start with the crown jewel, the Duomo di Siena. This cathedral is a Gothic masterpiece with black and white striped marble, intricate carvings, and one of the most beautiful mosaic floors in all of Europe. After that, we'll have a little walk around the cathedral and the surrounding area before making our way to Piazza del Campo, one of Italy's most famous public squares. This is where the Palio di Siena horse race is held twice each summer, an event that's been thrilling locals and visitors alike for centuries. After our tour, we'll gather for lunch at a local restaurant and we'll have a bit of time to explore on our own, perhaps visiting one of the many museums or climbing the famous Torre del Mangia for views across the Tuscan hills. By the latter part of the afternoon, we'll be back in Cortona. Be time again for dinner on your own, but don't be surprised if you see a few of your fellow travelers at a nearby enoteca, sipping on a glass of vino nobile and watching the sunset over the valley. Today, we'll head into the Val d'Orcia, one of the most photographed landscapes in Italy, to visit the town of Pienza, a place that's often referred to as the ideal Renaissance city. After breakfast, we'll set off again by coach from Cortona, and once we're on the road, we'll be treated to more of the wonderful views of the Tuscan landscape, the rolling hills, the winding cypress-lined roads, and the golden wheat fields, all of which make it into kind of a painter's dream. Pienza was transformed in the 15th century by Pope Pius II, who set out to redesign his birthplace into a model city of harmony and proportion. Together with our local guide, we'll explore the charming streets, we'll take a look at the Cathedral of Santa Maria Assunta, and we'll visit the Palazzo Piccolomini, one of the earliest examples of Renaissance architecture. From the loggia of the Palazzo, we'll have some sweeping views across the valley to Monte Amiata. After our guided tour, we'll sit down for lunch, and for cheese lovers, we've got a treat because Pienza is famous for its pecorino. So if you keep an eye out for it on the menu, or you'll certainly see some in the shops as you pass your free time in the afternoon. We'll have some time to wander around, and we'll head back to Cortona later in the evening. And once again, you'll have time to explore the wonderful culinary scene of town. This morning, we'll take it a little bit more easily, and instead of heading out at 9 a.m. like we usually do, we'll have a bit of a relaxed morning to sleep in, enjoy a longer breakfast, or stroll around through the quiet streets. There'll be no plans until the afternoon, but then we have a very special outing in store. Our scenic outing will take us just outside of town to the San Luciano Winery, which is literally just a few minutes' drive away. And here we'll enjoy a tasting of several of their wines, accompanied by some locally produced cheeses and charcuterie. This is what we call one of our wow moments, those experiences that truly capture the flavor and atmosphere of a place. There's no formal guide today. This is really all about savoring the setting and enjoying the company of your fellow travelers and in a very relaxed countryside settings. Afterwards, we'll make the short trip back to Cortona, and you'll have yet another evening. By this time, you'll have discovered undoubtedly a number of favorite spots to enjoy dinner. Today, we're off to see Montepulciano, another Tuscan gem which is known for its noble palaces, elegant piazzas, and of course, its world-famous Vino Nobile wines. Montepulciano is yet another hilltop town in this part of Tuscany. It's perched on a limestone ridge, and it's filled with Renaissance charm. We'll take another walking tour with our local guide and see some of the town's main sites, including the Piazza Grande, the Church of Sant'Agostino, as well as all the narrow lanes which are lined with artisan workshops and wine cellars. We'll also visit the town's Duomo, which is a striking cathedral that contrasts with the medieval facades around it. We'll learn more about the town's traditions of independence and, of course, viticulture. We have lunch at, again, another one of our favorite spots, and it'll have all kinds of regional specialties. And yes, of course, this is another great place to try a glass of that Vino Nobile di Montepulciano. We'll have free time in the afternoon once again to wander around the streets. You might want to step into another tasting room or two if that suits your fancy. And we'll be back in Cortona by the latter part of the afternoon. This morning, we'll have to wave goodbye to the town of Cortona that we will probably have fallen a little bit in love with over the last few days. And we're going to head to the world's oldest republic, San Marino. This city-state is mostly all perched on top of Mount Titano, overlooking the rolling hills of the Montefeltro region and the Adriatic coast. When we get there and check in, the rest of the afternoon will be yours to just settle in and grab lunch at your leisure and start to get a feel for this fascinating little town. Later in the afternoon, we'll head out, though, for an orientation walk through San Marino's historic center. Once again, our local guide is going to take us by the Basilica, the Parliament's House, and the first of three iconic towers that line the ridge. For sure, one of the highlights is going to be the Passo delle Streghe, or Witch's Path, which leads us to the second tower and offers one of the most unforgettable views of the whole region. Now, you should be aware that San Marino, as I said, is another hilltop town. There's going to be some steep walking and stairs along the way, but the views at the top are all well worth the climb. Later that evening, we'll have dinner once again, all together as a group at a local restaurant, and we'll toast our arrival in this unique little country. Our excursion today will take us back into Italy, which of course surrounds San Marino, and we'll head to the Adriatic coast to the town of Rimini, a lively seaside city with Roman roots and a breezy, laid back charm. This is a popular destination for Europeans in the summertime. We'll start with a panoramic drive along the coastline where miles of sandy beaches stretch along the turquoise sea. If our timing lines up and the day happens to fall on a Saturday, we'll also get to visit Rimini's vibrant weekly market, which is perfect for browsing for local food, textiles, as well as some handmade goods. Regardless, we'll have a lovely guided walk through Rimini's old town, where we'll see remnants of its Roman past, like the Arch of Augustus and the Tiberius Bridge, which has stood for more than 2,000 years. Lunch will be on your own today, whether you choose to have a little piadina, the local flatbread filled with cheese and prosciutto, or take a break with a Aperol Spritz at a beachside cafe. We'll have time as usual to explore, and then we'll return to San Marino and come together again for another delicious dinner with all of our fellow travelers. Our last full day will comprise something special, and what our previous members have said has been one of the highlights of the trip, a pasta making class. After breakfast, we'll make a short drive to the town of Sant'Arcangelo, which is a small spot that captures the timeless charm of Emilia-Romagna. It's a place where life still moves slowly. Shopkeepers know their customers, and the rhythms of everyday life feel unhurried and authentic. If the day happens to be a Friday, we'll visit the local market, and the streets will be filled with stalls, and local families will be lining up to stock up their wares for the weekend. We'll have another short little walking tour through town, and there'll be time to browse and explore. And then we'll head over to a nearby agriturismo, which is a traditional countryside farm for a hands-on pasta making class. As I said, this is one of the highlights of the trip. We'll have the opportunity to learn to make fresh pasta the way that Italian nonnas have done for generations. We'll then sit down to a long, leisurely lunch featuring all of the goods that we've made, and we'll have lots of local wine and even more laughter. This shared meal will be our farewell lunch. It'll be time to reflect on the journey that we've shared and all the wonderful places that we've experienced together. This last evening in San Marino will be yours to enjoy at your own pace. Some might gather for a final glass of wine at the hotel, while others might take a twilight stroll looking out over the surrounding landscape. And regardless of what you choose, it'll be a fitting close to our time here in central Italy. And just like that, it'll be time to say arrivederci. After breakfast, we'll have your private transfer to Ancona Airport for your onward flights, whether you're heading back to Canada or continuing on your travels elsewhere in Europe. We hope that you'll have left this trip with some warm memories and perhaps a few new travel buddies to meet again on the road. Hopefully, what I've shared with you today will inspire you to consider joining us on this trip through Tuscany and San Marino. Of course, you might be interested in getting some more details, and if so, the best way to get them is to visit the webpage, which you'll find immediately below this video in YouTube, and there you'll get a summary of the trip as well as an idea of the pricing depending on the timing. If you then download in our detailed trip itinerary, you'll find a link on that webpage. You'll get access to all of the trip details for the various departures we have going, including prices and terms and conditions, and simply everything that you need to know. But of course, as with booking any trip, it's a big decision, and there'll probably be some questions that you still have, or just some doubts that you want to satisfy. And so we're more than happy to help. The best way is to drop us an email to Paula, set up a time to speak with her, and she'll be more than delighted to assist you with any questions and ensure that you have everything you need to know to make a decision whether to join us on this amazing trip. Thanks so much for taking the time to join me on this virtual journey covering Tuscany and San Marino. I hope it's given you a bit of an idea of what you can expect from this trip. Our trips, particularly our sojourn trips like this one, are designed to give you more than just a typical tour. They're really about experiencing a destination. Now, if you enjoy following our webinars on new trips, then you can consider subscribing to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. That way, the moment we upload a new video about a new trip, you'll be alerted and you can watch right away. But regardless, I thank you again for taking the time to explore this part of the world with me. And if you're not already on our newsletter list, I invite you to join our community, and perhaps we'll see you on one of our trips sometime soon. We'd love to get you started on this incredible adventure. In the meantime, happy travels.